Okay, so our topic is the wisdom of man versus the wisdom of God. There is a lot of very fundamental things that we're going to learn tonight about this, and I want to explain things that happened during the history based on this. When in the creation, the description in the Torah, how Hashem created, or why Hashem created man, if we'll go to, and you know what, I'll apologize again, I did it yesterday, all the slides are in Hebrew. I'm sorry I don't have the translation, but I'll translate the thing that will be needed to be translated. Some of my presentations are with English in, but not this one. So, okay. If we go to Genesis, we go to Sefer Bereshit. In the first chapter, the description of the creation, and the sixth day, after everything was created, God decided to create Adam. So, if you look at the one word over here in this verse 26, first chapter. ויאמר אלוקים, נעשה אדם בצלמנו כדמותנו וירדו בגת הים ובעוף השמיים ובבהמה ובכל הארץ ובכל הרמס הרומס על הארץ. To translate it, Adam was created after everything else was created. And here in this verse we are at the point when God saying what he want to do, planning. And he said, I'm not going to create another creature. I'm going to create now something else. I want to create someone that I will give under his control the entire system that I created already. This is the meaning of the word v'yirdu bidgat hayam. V'yirdu, they will rule. They will rule everything that I created, right? Now, in order to create this unusual creature, God created him in a very exclusive way. And though this is the word that I want you to remember, ויאמר אלוקים נעשה אדם בצלמנו כדמותנו. I want to create this Adam in my image. I don't know exactly how to translate those two words, בצלמנו כדמותנו, because in Hebrew they have each different meaning, and in English probably not. How do you say בצלמנו כדמותנו in English? Anyone? בצלמנו כדמותנו, and what's the difference between them?
I think tselem would be maybe the way.
Image.
Image, okay, that's one word. I need another one, right? בצלמנו. What כדמותנו? There is no such a thing. Similar to us. Similar to us. כדמותנו. כדמותנו is מלשון דמיון, similarity. There are some similarity between me and him. And this thing is exclusive to a human being. No other creature, from the physical creatures or spiritual creatures, that is similar to God. Only Adam. Now Rashi explained, what is the meaning that he will be similar to me? Look at this. Says Rashi, כדמותנו להבין ולהשכיל. He will be intelligent creature. He could understand things, understand the reality. And this is the thing. God created us as intelligent creatures. We could understand. I mean, it's an option. It's not must. Many people has the potential, but they didn't use it, unfortunately. But we could understand the reality, our reality, the reality around us. So this is the gift. This is the gift that God gave us, and he gave this gift to us for a reason. Because he wants us to be the managers of the entire creation. Now, one of the things that we have to remember right now, because when the human race during the history didn't understand it, that caused a lot of big problems. When I say that something is similar to, it doesn't mean identical. It means that there is some similarity. Let me give you a sharp example. I could say that this table similar to this chair. What? This is a table, this is a chair. What the similarity? Similarity is not it's not that they're identical, but it could be similar in a way. Let's
Both
say,
have 4 legs.
let's say, yeah, both have four
Same
legs,
material.
the material, the color. Each one of those could be the similarity that I'm talking about, but they're not identical.
But they're also furniture, they are in a group of.
Okay, you can find many common things that they could share. Now, when Hashem says, I want to create men like me, in the intelligent way, the ability to think, right, we have to know that we have some similarity to God, but it's not the same. And here's the verse in Isaiah, in Yeshayahu Perek Nun-Hey, Isaiah 55, כי לא מחשבותיי מחשבותיכם, ולא דרכיכם דרכי נאום השם. Don't think that my way of thinking is your way of thinking, and my ways to your ways, you could not compare them, כי גבהו שמיים מארץ, כך כן גבהו דרכי מדרכיכם ומחשבותיי ממחשבותיכם. Shamayim va'aretz, it's not the time now to go into it, but Shamayim va'aretz is not what we think. Aretz is not planet Earth, and Shamayim is not this blue thing that you see when there is a clear day, no clouds. Because there is no such a thing, Shamayim. You know that. If you take an airplane and fly out, are you going to touch the sky? No. Take a space shuttle. Go even higher, right? You could have a nice journey between the stars, but you will never reach something called sky. So what is this blue thing that we see? It's just an illusion. It's an illusion of the space, the inner, the in-between star space. So, but it says in the Torah that God created Shamayim, right? The first verse, Bereshit bara Elokim et ha-shamayim ve'et haaretz. So it means that there is such a thing. What is it? If it's not this blue thing, which is, I just proved it that it's not it, so there is something else that is Shamayim. What is Shamayim? So Shamayim, in the Kabbalah and Machshava books in the Jewish library, are, or is, the spiritual dimension in the universe. That's called Shamayim. Why it's called Shamayim? Very interesting, the words, the Hebrew words, the wisdom in the holy language is amazing. The depth, the richness. If you know some Hebrew, and if not, I'll teach you now, you find the letters Yud and Mem always at the end of a word when you want to switch from singular to plural. Examples? How do you say hand? Yad. How do you say two hands?
Yadayim.
Yadayim. So the Yud Mem make it switch from 1 to 2.
Plural.
More examples? רגל רגליים, אוזן אוזניים, לחי לחיים, כתף כתפיים, etc. Yud Mem, at the end of the word, it switch it from singular to plural. According to this, if you want to understand the word Shamayim, you have a Yud and Mem, right? So they're not playing a big role, but make the singular plural. So what is the base? 2 letters, Shin Mem. What is the Shin Mem? Shin Mem is a word by itself in Hebrew.
Shem.
No, I'm meaning it's also Gam, but I mean Sham. Sham is there. There. What is there? I'll answer the questions. Okay? What is there? There, that everything that's not here is there. What's here? Here is everything that I could grasp. Not even physically, even intellectually. Anything that I could understand, this is here. So God tell us that when He created the universe is a combination of 2 things. Things that are here, meaning are tangible or accessible or could be understood by you. All of those are the here, but there are their stuff. The their stuff is the spiritual dimension that you could not get by your physical senses. It doesn't mean that they are not exist. It means that you do not have the tools to realize them. And because of that, it's there. But because it's so far from you, it's not just there, it's there in square. And this is the Shamayim. This is very far from you. Okay? Yeah.
We say one thing, we say, Evdel Shamayim va'aretz.
Exactly, that's it. That's it.
That's I'm saying.
He is the source.
This is the musag,
Isaiah.
some people don't know where it's
Okay.
coming from.
Now, physical are the limited things. We spoke about this a little bit yesterday. Any physical thing is limited by time and space. The limits of time and space give it a border, and the border give you the ability to understand it, to grasp it. There are entities that are not limited by time and space, and therefore you could not touch them, you could not understand them, you could not grasp them, you have no access to them, but it's there. So God says over here, and be aware, those elements are also part of the creation. Meaning, God created the physical and the spiritual. And the spiritual is the Shamayim, which is part of the creation. For sure, the one who created them is even much more far than the thing that he created. So God warning us here by Isaiah, he said, don't try to think that your ability to think could that you could have the ability to understand me, because I'm way, way more than you, like the distance between the Shamayim and the Eretz. Okay, now people didn't really understand this during the history, and that caused big problems, and that is the reason that I thought it's very important to explain this here. I will show you more sources. In the beginning, it will seem that there is no connection, but then everything will go and will be tied together. Let's go in Genesis, in Sefer Bereshit, a little bit further to Parashat Noach. Noach, if you remember, was the only righteous as a generation. The entire generation were wicked, so God bring the flood on them, and they were perished. The one who left was 8 people. Noach, his wife, and their 3 sons and their wives. The name of the sons were Shem, Ham, and Yefet. Now, right after they went out of the Teva, was an incident that Ham did something wrong to his father. No, I'll not go to the details now. And Noach later on realized this, and he said words, and his words just designed the history. He related to all 3 sons. He cursed Ham because what he did, and he blessed the other 2, Shem and Yefet. Let's see what the Torah says about this. Vayiketz Noach miyeino. Noach woke up. Vayeda, and he realized that asher asa lo bno hakatan, and then he cursed him. Vayomer arur Knan eved avadim yeh le'achav. Knan is the son of Ham. And there is a reason, again, I have no time to go now to the details. Why he didn't curse Ham himself, only his son. There are reasons for all of these things, but anyway, he cursed them. What was the curse? That he will be a slave of slaves. Eved avadim yeh le'achav. That the children, the descendants of Ham, all of them will be slaves for the 2 other brothers, Shem and Yefet. Okay, we are now want to make a focus on the blessing that he gave the other 2 sons. He said the following, Vayomer Baruch Hashem Elohei Shem, Vihi Knan Eved Lamo. Now we relate to Shem, and he said, Baruch Hashem. So the first one in the Torah who said Baruch Hashem was Noach. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem Elohei Shem. Those of you who were here yesterday, I relate to yesterday we discussed why Hashem has more than one name. So be aware of this. Here, the name of Hashem is in this way, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Then, when he went to the second son, Yefet, he also blessed him, but look how. Yaft Elokim leyefet, veishkon be'ol Hashem, ve'iknan eved lam. So here's Yud Kei Vav Kei, here's Elokim. They are both the same, the name of Hashem. But what actually he's saying over here? He blessed Shem in a very interesting way. By the way, did you ever thought about the name Shem? Imagine someone bring his baby for a bris, right? So the Moel will ask, what is the name of the baby? He will say name. Yeah, the Moel will ask, yeah, but what is the name? Name. Just name him. Noah called his son Shem. What is the meaning of this? This is a funny name, Shem. I just will hint that those two letters, Shem, are the beginning of the Shamayim. And they're exactly in the middle of the word Neshama. Nun, Hey, and Shem Ba'emtza, right? In the middle. So, Shem connected to the spirituality, to the Sham, to the Shamayim. That was his name. When Noah blessed him, what he said, Baruch Hashem Elohei Shem. God, who are the creator of the entire universe, will be the God of Shem. He will be the God of this son. Then he moved to the other son, and he said, Yaft Elokim leyefet. And again, what is the meaning of the name? Yefet connected to the word beauty, Yofi. So, what is the blessing? Yaft Elokim leyefet. He has this name before the blessing, right? So in the deep part of the Torah, the Kabbalah says that there is a connection between the blessing that Noah gave to these two kids, Shem and Yefet. There is a connection between the blessing to the first verse in the Torah. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. He now put Shem in charge of the Shamayim, meaning the spirituality in the world, and he put Yefet on the Aretz, on the physicality. What is the definition of beauty? Beauty is to take something that has a potential and actualize it, shape it, take the best out of it. So the physical is the potential, the entire physical, the entire physical dimension of the universe has a lot of potential. And as we see today, with the knowledge that we have in science, we could take elements from the physical dimension in the universe and use it or shape it or design it in a way that it will serve us, right? Who's in charge of this? Yefet. Those words are amazing because they design the history of the human, design the history of the human race. All the sons of Ham, without going now again to details, become slaves during the history. You know who were the sons of Ham? Ham has 4 sons. Uvnei Ham, Cush, Umitzrayim, Ufut, Uknaan. All of them were slaves during the history. Cush are the blacks, Fut is another nation in Africa. Egypt is located in Africa, right? And Egypt called in the Torah, in the 10 Commandments, the first commandment, Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzaticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim. So Egypt called a house of slavery. Many people made a mistake and think why Egypt called Beit Avadim, house of slavery, because we were slaves in Egypt. It's not completely true. If you know the Bible, go before Sefer Shemot, when Pharaoh make us slaves. You'll find out that at the time of Yosef, when it was a famine, the Egyptian citizens in Egypt has nothing to eat. They came to Pharaoh. Pharaoh told them, go to Yosef. Yosef said, come down, there is enough, but it belongs to the king. If you want, buy it. The first year they bought with their money, the second year with everything, possessions, and then in the third year, when we still have 5 years of famine, they have nothing left. no money, no possessions. They came to Yosef and told him, "Lo nechached me'adoni, we cannot hide from you, but nothing left. So we have an idea. Kne otanu ve'et admatenu avadim leparo. Buy us as slaves to Paro and feed us as slaves." So who are the slaves? The Egyptian citizen way before the Jews become slaves there. So Egypt was one of the sons of Ham, and Canaan was the 7 nations that used at the time of our forefathers live in Eretz Israel and Eretz Canaan. They all perished, and those who left from them become an Eved Knaani. There is such a thing, Eved Knaani. So all of them became slaves during the history, many, many years. Now what happened with the other 2 sons? Everyone, unfortunately, know this terrible notion called anti-Semitism. So when you hear the word anti-Semitism, what that means? Who they hate? Us. Because Avraham Avinu was the 10th generation to Noah through Shem. So we are the Semites. The Jews are a Semite nation. The Jews, as Noah says over here, Baruch Hashem Elohei Shem. God will be known in the world through the descendants of Shem. He is in charge of the spirituality in the world. And we know that Avraham Avinu was the first one who made the name of Hashem and the fact that Hashem is only one known all over the world. Later on, his descendants, meaning the Jewish nation, stand in front of Har Sinai and they become, Hashem offered them, God offered them to be my nation, and they accept it. And all the religions during the history, I'm talking about 3,300 years, came from us. Christianity, their God of the Christians is Jewish. Right? They took all the ideas that they have in what they called the New Testament, and we called, when they have the New Testament, it means that our Bible is the Old Testament. So what they call all their New Testament is based on the Old Testament, which we called the Only Testament. Okay? But you see, it's become a big religion that spread all over the world, and it's come from Avraham Avinu, from Shem. And even the Muslims, Ishmael was the son of Avraham Avinu. So you could see that who's in charge during history. Noah said that 4,000 years ago. And it's designed the history. Now let's go to Yefet. Yefet has 7 sons. I'll tell you the names. Uvnei Yefet, Gomer, Umagog, Umadai, Veyavan, Vetuval, Umeshech, Vetiras. From all of those names, we know today only one that stayed with this exact name, Yavan. The Greeks. I'll repeat it again. Uvnei Yefet, Gomer. By the way, Gomer is Germany. Because the next verse says, Uvnei Gomer, Ashkenaz v'Rifat v'Togarma, and Ashkenaz was the son of Gomer, Germany, and Ashkenaz is Deutschland. But Gomer is not completely Germany, but Yavan mentioned in this name. Then, again, Uvnei Yefet, Gomer, Umagog, Umadai, Veyavan, Vetuval, Umeshech, Vetiras. Okay, it's very interesting to follow each one of them. I will focus on Yavan. Yavan, the Greeks, right? Now what Noah says, Yefet will be in charge on the physical. Shem, the spiritual. Yavan. If we go now to United Nations and ask them a serious question, not to condemn Israel about whatever. Serious question. You know what? You are the representative of all the nations of the world now. Question. Do you know some history? Okay. Go back to the history of the culture in the world, and tell us, who do you think is the nation that contribute the significant contribution for the development of science, of culture, of everything? What will be the answer? Greek. Greek. Yavan. The Greeks philosophers. They were the founder. They made the foundation of what during the history will be science. No one could take this from them, right? In Hanukkah, we find, and by the way, this lecture, we meant to give it in Hanukkah, but the shul was burned, so we delayed it. So I'll give a version that is gonna fit Chodesh Adar too, but in Hanukkah, before Hanukkah, it's really the relevant to understand what happened. In Hanukkah, we celebrate every year 2,200 years already since the event of Hanukkah. The big clash, the big conflict that happened in the history between the Greeks and us. And what actually was there is the conflict between two philosophies, the Greek philosophies and the Jewish philosophy. Now, few pieces of information that needed in order to understand what really happened there. The one who put Greek on the map of the world as a superpower was Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was a very interesting person. When he became a Caesar or the leader of Greek, he was 18 years old. He lived very short life. At the age of 32, 33, he passed away because of illness or something like this. He ruled the world. He conquered the world, and he ruled it for 12 years. 12 years only. Before he became a Caesar, his father, the former Caesar, rumor says that what people think was his father hired for him the best teacher in the world at the time, and many, probably during the history. It was Aristo. Aristo was his personal teacher. So he was a very interesting army man that combined with intellectual, because he appreciated his teacher and he believed in his theories. And when he conquered the world, at the time, we're talking about 2,400 years ago, people all over the world were completely primitive. Even the people in Greek was primitive, but the philosophers and their students. So one of the things that all the nations of the world should thank Greek, they brought the light of intellect or science and take them out of their primitive life, right? When the Greeks arrived to the land of Israel at the time, after they conquered many, many places, and they feel very good about themselves, we are the most intelligent human beings. They look on everyone from up down. They came to the land of Israel, they find the Jews. They never saw the Jews before. And to their surprise, they assume that it's another primitive group, tribe. They find out that the Jews are very smart. How do you measure intelligence of a society? By how many people could read and write? They find out, for their shock, that every kid know how to read. every kid under 13. Why? Why they have to know how to read? Because at the age of 13, they have to read their bar mitzvah parsha. Now, think about it. It's crazy because at the time, only the philosophers and their students know how to read and write. And here they find kids, and they didn't start at the age of 13. Since they were 3, they went to the cheder and they learned Aleph, Bet, and wow. For them, it was a big shock. So they thought, wow, if they're so smart, they probably will appreciate our knowledge in science. They're probably logical, they're probably rational. And they find out that, in general, you could say that about the Jews, but, they have some problems with the Jews. And listen carefully to what I'm saying now, because this is the thing that behind the scenes even today. They find out that the Jews are very intelligent, usually, getting their decision based on rational, they're okay, but they find out that those Jews doing few very weird stuff that from the point of view of science, of Greek science, doesn't make any sense. Let me give you funny examples, few. They find out, they researched the culture. They were very, open-minded. They want to learn everything about everything, okay? So they sent researchers to search or learn the attitude of Jews toward life. They find out something very interesting. The Jews love food. And they have a very good kitchen. They have so many variety of food. They, not vegetarians, they eat meat, but they found out very, very quickly that they are very selective of the meat that they're eating. That awake their curiosity. They're smart. They probably have certain diet that we do not know about, okay? So let's learn it. So they invited the sages of the Jews and asked them the following question. We find out that you have a very good kitchen, you eat meat, but we find out that most of the animals of the world you are not eating. The ones that we could eat are very few. The one who, have mafris parsam, alegira, they're very, very few. Why? Why? We want to know why. The answer that they got made them very angry. If the Jews will tell them, many Jews, even today, do not know the answer for the question. Why Jews do not eat pork? Many Jews will answer, because it's yachi. It's a dirty animal who lives in garbage, a lot of viruses, illnesses. That's not the reason. If that was the answer to the Greeks, the Greeks would say, interesting, let us check it out. Let's see. If people who not eating pork, their health is better, they live longer. But that's not the answer. The answer was very irritating them. You know what the Jews told them? We have a reason, but you could not understand it. Wow, that's an insult. What do you mean? Of course, you're smart, fine. But we too. Why are you insulting us? The Jews will say, you know what, we didn't mean to insult you, but the reasons is not in the physical realm. It's in the spiritual realm. It's not because it's not healthy. It's because it's not kosher. Kosher, asked the Greeks, vusidus, what's kosher? Do you mean there are some viruses over here? The Jew said, saying in reply, I told you, you checking things from the laboratory point of view. Laboratory is good to check physical things. I'm talking about spiritual things. That lit a red light by the Greeks. Why? Because they went all over the world and they found so many primitive cultures that believe in spiritual entities, which is all nonsense, and say, we thought the Jews are smart. So, but they have some stupidities also. They believe in kosher, not kosher. What do you mean? Our scientists could not prove that there is anything wrong with this. So, they check it out. This is the thing that we have to deal with those Jews. Then, they look different area. They find out that the Jews love money. And they're willing to work for it also. But they find out something very funny about the Jews. They will work hard 6 days a week only. One day, no work. They were curious about this. So they take the Jews and ask them, listen, mathematically, if you make $1,000 a year, a day, let's say, right? If you work 6 days, 6,000. 7 days, 7,000. How do you give up 1,000? And what the reason of this? Because at the time, people works 24/7, almost like today. 24/7. And it seems a waste. Why? They were curious about this. If the Jews will tell them about the question, why you are not working 1 day a week, a rational answer. Like, we find out that a machine that works non-stop is wearing out. If you give it a break, right, it will produce more because of the break. This is logical. The Greek would say, wow, we never thought about this. It's a good idea. Let's adopt it. But that was not the answer. What was the answer? We have a reason. You're not going to understand this. Again, you're insulting us. So what is the reason? Shabbat Kodesh. There is a holiness in this day. Holiness. What's that? No such a thing. You could not prove it in the laboratory. Therefore, it does not exist. You're imagining this. The next thing, they were very open-minded, right? They went and they found about the temple in Jerusalem. They find a very nice temple. They send the researcher to see how this operated. So imagine them standing there. They force the Kohanim to take them to show the different things over there. They come to the menorah. They saw the menorah, a golden menorah, right? And the Kohen explained how it works. Shemen zayit zach. The oil should be pure only when you squeeze the olive. The first drop is good because it has to be very clean. And they explain everything, how the menorah is one piece. It's not pieces that was connected to everything. They were fascinated with this. Imagine at a certain point, one of those doctors from the University of Athens will stretch his hand to touch the menorah. The Jew will jump and say, don't touch it. Hey, don't scream on me. Why? Now the Jew is again in a problem. Let's explain. If you will touch the oil will not be good anymore to light the menorah with. What? Why? Just because I touch it? What? Is the touching what? Reduce the ability of it to give energy? The Jew also has no choice but to answer. There is a reason. You will not understand this. It's a spiritual reason. It's not a physical reason. It will be tummy. Tummy. What's tummy? Tummy, tahor, kadosh. Those concepts, they could not understand. And all the gzerot, all the decrees that they did was about this. All the things that logically and a human ability of thinking is not explained. So they make a decree for every Jew to be mechalel Shabbat. Be aware of this. They didn't destroy the temple. They didn't even say, don't light the menorah. What did they try to do? They made all the oil tameh and wants to force us to light the menorah with the tameh oil in order to release us from the stupidities, because you will see, you will light it with this oil and the sky will not fall. Meaning it's nonsense. That's what they try to do. What should be, and this is a very, very important thing to know today, because many Jews do not know it today. What is the right attitude toward this kind of philosophy? And that by itself, this argument, will make them very angry. They was walking around the world sure that they are the smartest, intelligent people ever. And they could prove it. They have scientists, they have laboratories, they developed a lot of things. It works, right? Now, what the Jew has to tell them? The following. We have no argument with you about the success of the human mind to understand the physical laws of nature, understand them, and even maneuver them and use them for his own benefit. We have no machloket, no argument about this. You know what is the difference between you and us? You think that the physical and the laws of nature is the entire reality, and we're telling you that it's just part of a bigger reality. That's it. Meaning, you are aware of partial reality and look at it as the whole reality. And that will make them angry. Because if the Jews are right, they are number two, and they want to be number one. And because there are no logical proofs, according to what the measurement that they decide what logical is, to this, therefore, it's not true. This philosophy still exists until today. Not just by the nation of the world, even by many Jews that thinks, come on, real thing that I could touch, I could feel, this is reality. You talking about angels, God, who saw God recently? You're imagining it. This is the story, you see, this is the debate. Now, where it's coming from? It's coming from the fact that God created us in His image. Kidmutenu, lehavinu lehaskil. He gave us ability to think. But what we're doing, after we realize and appreciate the human ability to think, we took this ability and put it as the judge of what reality is. What we forgot, that it's limited. And this is the thing. The wisdom of God is bigger than the mind that He created for us. And as Jews, we have to know that. You go to the Torah. You find in the Torah many mitzvot, 613. Many of them are things that I could agree with. I don't have to be a Jew. I don't have to accept Torah by Sinai. And it makes sense that make a law. Don't kill. Don't steal. You do not need God for this. Why? Because the benefit of it is obvious. But if you will go to the same Torah, you will find out that among the 613 commandments in the Torah, you have many that you do not understand whatsoever. Why not to eat pork? Why not to eat a lamb? A lamb. If you take a lamb, take a knife, a kosher knife, a shochet, a shechter, that knows the laws of shchita. Take the same lamb, same knife, same shochet. But instead of shechting the animal from the neck, he will shecht it from the back. The meat of this animal, of this lamb, will be forbidden for a Jew to eat same way as a pork. Why? Why? It's not a reason of health. It's the same lamb.
It's the reason of humanity.
The human logic that we could put in it, but that's not the reason. That's not the reason. The reason is spiritual, is not physical. Is not physical. And many mitzvot in the Torah, like shatnez, you're not allowed to eat to wear a garment that is a mix of tzemer and pishtim, of a wool and cotton. What's the reason? No reason, linen. No reason. No physical reason. And there are many things that you could not understand the reason of it. It's not because there is no reason. There is reason. But the reason are sham. Are sham in the spiritual dimension. And here we have to know, a human being is a combination of a body and a soul, right? How Hashem created us. ויצר השם אלוקים את האדם עפר מן האדמה, dust from earth, ויפח באפיו נשמת חיים. Dust from earth is the body, is the physical. Neshama is from Sham. And a human being is not just his body or not just his soul. It's a combination of both. And when you do any action, both are involved. What we see only the physical, because our physical eyes see the physical. Let me give you two examples that will make it very sharp, very clear. If someone committed a crime of murder, right? You shoot someone, this person dead. What do we see? The dead body of the person. What we do not see? The soul. Even before he was dead, we didn't see his soul. I never saw my soul or your soul, and you too. Because our physical tools give us, our senses give us access to the physical dimension. We do not see the spiritual, but the spiritual is there. Now, every action that you do with your body and your soul has impact in both realms, in the physical and in the spiritual. Let's take another thing to explain this. Don't steal, right? It's an international value. Many societies accept it without being religion, without believing God. Don't steal. Now, imagine the situation. Someone went to a supermarket or a big store in order to steal. That was in his mind. He has no penny in his pockets. So he went, start to go big supermarkets, go through the aisles, see something on one of the shelves, stretch his hand to take it in order to steal it. Then he realized that there is a camera right there focused on him. So he took his hand back, could not steal because you're going to be in the picture. He went around, went to different aisle, checked carefully that there are no cameras, look at the shelves, find something else that you want, stretch his hand to take it. No cameras. Unfortunately, one of the workers come to set the shelves right next to him, and it takes 1, 2, 3, 10 minutes, and it doesn't seem to be end, so he gave up. He went to another aisle, and he tried here and there and here and there. After 4 hours, from different reasons, camera, someone saw him, he went out empty-handed. Is he a stealer? No court will put him in jail or give him any punishment. He didn't steal. Right, he didn't steal, but he's not a stealer. He is not just a stealer. He is a stealer and a coward. Because he didn't steal, not because he believed in the value, don't steal. He wanted to steal, but because he was afraid from the sanction, he didn't do it. So he himself is a stealer. You cannot taken to court for being a stealer, potential stealer. When the Torah told us, don't steal, the Torah do not tell us, don't caught steal. Don't be a stealer. Because when you didn't steal technically, but in your personality you have no problem to do it, you are not a good person. People do not know or do not care about the personality of the person. If you committed technically the crime, then you are criminal. If not, you could be criminal in your personality, but no one could punish you for this. See what's the problem here? We live in the bubble of material. We're ignoring the spiritual dimension of it, which is the real reality. And this is the difference. Any mitzvah in the Torah that you do not understand, it's just because your tools to understand are limited, and you see it only through the physical, and you do not see the big picture. This is the main thing. Now let me just conclude with two major things that happened during the history. Alexander the Great was the disciple of Aristotle, and since his time, and since the Greeks conquered the world, the philosophy, the Greek philosophy spread all over the world. It means that the teacher of Alexander was greater than him. Why? Because he died after 12 years. And the Greek Empire belonged to the history long time ago. But the philosophy stayed until today. So his teacher was greater than him, even though they call him Alexander the Great. What actually the Greek philosophy was? The Greeks discovered two things: the greatness of the human mind, the ability, the potential, and the laws of nature. And they saw there is a correlation between the laws of nature and my ability to understand them. And the more I understand them, I could take them and use them for my benefit, which is a great, great thing. But you know what happened? They took the man and put him actually to be the God. No more God. Man is the God. You all know this notion called humanism. What's humanism? It's come from the Latin word human. What's human? Man. Meaning, the man is the center of the universe. The man is the center of the universe instead of God. So the Greeks, before the Greek philosophers, was idol worshippers like everyone else. But you know the notion methodology? Methodology, how do you say that?
No methodology. Mythology.
Mythology, right.
Mythologia.
Mythology. What's mythology? They took the idols that their fathers was bowing down to them and turned them to ideas. Meaning, no more I will bow down to spiritual sources outside of me. From now on, I'm God. So I'm bowing down to myself, to my mind, to my strength, and to my beauty. And this is humanism. Humanism is substitution to God. No more God, no more gods, or one God, I'm God. And this is actually the popular philosophy today. Today, everyone appreciates science and scientists and hope that one day they will find cure to all the illnesses in the world and make our life easier, right? So, who's God? Me. Me, I mean the human being, the human abilities. This is God, the new God. 600 years after Aristotle, Christians did the same thing. Apparently they are spiritual, right? But what did they do? They took a man and make him God. In the spiritual way. Right? But human being is God. When they say, my God, they mean Jesus. I talked with many scholars. I asked them, is Jesus God? The answer was for sure. There is arguments if he's Messiah, not Messiah, but he's God. This is idol worshiping. It's a new idea, it's a new version of being idol worshiping. So it's the same thing. The secular started from Aristotle. Those who were still spiritual didn't want to give it up all, though they designed God as a human being, and you do not have to do anything. Do whatever you want, he's okay. He's forgiving you about everything, he's sacrificing. You could do whatever you want. So again, who's God? Me. Jesus helped me to do whatever I want. You could do whatever you want and do some things and you're okay. Judaism still stubborn, and that's why God chose us. I always ask, why God chose us from all the nations of the world? We are the most problematic nation. Every Jew has an opinion. Every Jew has... We are stubborn. God told us. We are kshe-oref. We are stubborn. Why He chose us? Because our mission, the necessity of being stubborn, you know how do you say stubborn in a nice way? Determined. Determined. Do what's right. Our mission is so hard. We are the representative of the spiritual truth. So we have to be stubborn. And we are. And no one could convince us that other stupidities is the real truth. We know what's the truth. That's what we could cover now. Thank you for your attention.